So we've got a bit of a gardening update video for you today. Lots of things to show you, some updates on some things we did in some previous videos, and some lovely looking seedlings to go in the ground. So a couple of months ago, up here on the deck, we dismantled our old solar shower and we repurposed all of that material into a new cold frame grow box kind of thing. And we thought we'd start with a bit of an update on how that's been working, because it's been brilliant. Ta-da! There is less stuff in here than I was expecting, but I think it's because it's all hardening off outside.
It is. So the only things that are left in here, I had loads of beautiful looking peppers that I had potted on, and I had them in another cold frame that we have here on the deck, but it doesn't have an enclosed bottom, so a snail or a slug or multiple snails and slugs got in there and demolished them all.
Sad.
These are all new peppers, and then we've had mixed results with a few other bits and pieces. So I've got this tray also going. These are still on a heat mat because in the night times recently it's been dropping down to like 9 or 10 degrees. So that's just there as a backup in case the soil is also dropping too low. Loads of basils. And then over here we have a mixture of things that just haven't really taken off enough to be outside. So some marigolds, some tomatoes, some peppers. Actually, this one probably now needs to come outside.
That's a good size.
We might plant him today as well. But some of the peppers, they're so slow growing, are still quite small.
So we've got both capsicum and chili peppers.
Yeah, the chili peppers, so these are all capsicums. Yeah, we lost the chili peppers that had been potted on, and then I have sown some more cayenne here and jalapenos and habaneros. But yeah, we lost all of the first batch, unfortunately. We have a couple of aubergine eggplant styles coming on. That one's a good size. This one a little bit slower growing, 2 different varieties. A nasturtium, I must have put 6 seeds in here and only 1 has come good. And then a random spinach that I was just doing an experiment with. But let me show you all the tomatoes, because the tomatoes have done really well. And if you remember 2 years ago, I really struggled with tomatoes. This year, I seem to have nailed it. Before we start on the tomatoes, we have some pumpkin, some courgette, and some melon. This one's a mystery one. It popped up in a cell that was not meant to be melon or courgette or pumpkin. I think it's not a courgette. I'm hoping it's another melon, but I have a feeling it's just a different kind of pumpkin or squash. So we've got 2 red curry, 1 Italian green, 3 golden long ones, 1 sugar baby, which is a small watermelon, the mystery one, and I also have one ball, the one that comes out like this.
Oh, the yellow
ball squash. Which is good. So we're all good for courgette. Might make some wine this year. Only the 2 red curries had to reseed for butternut because didn't get any pop-up. Oh no, there was one, and it got completely destroyed by a hailstorm when it was hardening off. I'll show you all the tomatoes that aren't doing well because they got attacked by the hail as well. But look at these guys. So this is a tray of Corazon de Bois. How do you say that? Is that right?
Corazon de Bois, yeah.
Yep.
Like an ox heart tomato.
So they have been planted on, and when we plant them out in the garden, we're going to bury them much deeper, almost up to their first set of true leaves, to give them more sprouting root opportunity.
So the big question is, how did you get such amazing looking tomatoes this year compared to last year or the year before or whenever it was?
So I think the biggest thing was the light. So this grow box I had heat mats, and I had them in there on the heat mats, and just the amount of light coming in through the covers. I was rotating them every second day and watering them every day or 2, just a little bit. So I just think it's all the combination of all the factors. We did have this excellent week where there was a lot of sun for 1 week, and I think it just hit at the right time as well. They all really took off. The other thing that I've done this season, which I've never done before, this is a prime example. I took loads of pots like this and put like 20 or 30 seeds in there and then pricked them out when they were about this big, and then potted them on into cells or into small pots. And so I didn't have trays and trays and trays and trays that only get a 50% germination rate. I just had one tray and it had like 20 that would come up, which is why I have whole trays of that would have come from one little pot.
Yeah, it seemed to work really well.
Yeah, and so I did it with the peppers as well, and it worked really well until the slugs and snails got to them. So I'll definitely be doing more of that. Only some things can be done like that. So courgette, for example, can't be done like that. So those I just planted directly one seed per cell and then potted them on when they got a little bit bigger. And these ones are chucha, which... what are we using those for? Sauces.
They're like a plum tomato shape.
Yeah, and they have done really well. There's a couple of cells. I did have this full, and they got eaten by something that got into the cold frame, and then I put the netting on the sides, and then we didn't have any more issues. These guys are what's left of some of them after the hailstorm. But what I want to do as an experiment this year, I saw a video on how you can graft tomato plants. So when you cut off the suckers, you can graft them onto a stem. So these stems are pretty good. So what I want to do is come in and slice them off and then graft something on. So I'm letting these continue to grow, and they're growing side shoots, so that's fine, but their main stalk got damaged and snapped, and so it would never do as a plant. But if I graft onto it, should work. I mean, this one's got a lovely, nice new green shoot, and I could just let that be the new stalk, but I don't know if that's how it's going to work.
Yeah, I think it would.
So we've got 4 here that I can do some grafting experiments with. These are also ones that got damaged by the hail, but they didn't lose their top growing point. So I've kept these. They're not in great condition. I've kept them as backups, mostly because there's a couple in here that are cherry tomatoes, and we don't have that many cherry tomatoes. So if I need them, I can come back to them. The same thing. This cucumber made it from the slug onslaught. There was 2. You can see you got a bit of damage there. He's doing okay. And this nasturtium also got damaged by the hail. He's trying to recover. I think it just really needs to go into the ground. So I might see if I can find somewhere to put that today, or just pot it onto a bigger pot. So this is a random selection of other bits when I didn't have enough for putting in trays and stuff. But there's a couple of like black cherry tomatoes and yeah, some other cherries there. And then this one is another tray of Genovese.
It's like an Italian style. Also good for sauce. Good for sauces.
What's funny with this one, and I don't think this was done any differently to the others, but they have an ascending height order. It's almost like these ones at the front here now were at the back in the cold frame and didn't get enough light, but I was kind of rotating them every day or two, so I'm not really sure.
They look really big and healthy though. It's great.
Yeah, I'm really, really happy. So it wasn't down to compost, which is what I thought a couple of years ago, though we did change to a new compost. I think the biggest thing was just the light.
And the timing.
Yeah, and the timing, getting this really hot week, which was really excellent for when they were just little babies. And then we also have
loads of other stuff.
Lots of strawberries. I mean, these are the roses that we took, that have developed from the clippings when we took down that massive rose bush.
Which is doing really well as well.
Yep. Have some avocados, and these are chili plants that we overwintered inside. Again, they were out here for the hailstorm, so they're not looking that great, but we just want to get them in the ground, but we need to wait for a raised bed for that. So I don't think we've mentioned this before, but these no, they're not tomatoes. These strawberries, there's 85 of them.
That's a lot of strawberries.
It is. When I did the thinning out of the strawberry bed that's got asparagus in it and took all the runners that had come into the path, this is how many there were. I did throw out a load as well.
So hang on, this is 85 up here, and there is still a 10-metre long bed in the garden.
Yes, that's correct. And they also got a bit damaged, as they did down in the field, by the hail, but they've mostly recovered. But we are swimming in strawberries this year, so we are having pancakes, in smoothies, lots in the freezer to make jam with at some point. So we'll probably lose some at some point because there are some that are really struggling after the hail. And then next season there'll be more when I thin out strawberries. So
So that is a quick tour of what we've got growing up here on the deck. We're going to take some of these tomatoes down to the garden and get them in the ground because the season is pressing on and I'm hungry for tomatoes. But we've also been up to a whole load of other things down in the garden over the last few weeks. So I've put together a bit of a compilation of some of the things that we've been up to down there. Let's check that out first and then we'll rejoin you for some tomato planting. So back in mid-February, we planted about 20 early potatoes. The variety is Mona Lisa, and by mid-March, they were looking great. But then on the 30th of April, we had that crazy hailstorm that we mentioned earlier, and many of the plants, including the potatoes, were damaged. They didn't look too bad a week or so later, but 2 weeks after that, when we're recording this video, the plants were all shriveled up and not looking good at all. But we were always planning to plant more potatoes, with the goal of being self-sufficient in them this year. In mid-March, we planted 2 different varieties in our no-dig beds. We planted 10 Desiree and 15 Agria. These are my favourite for making chips, whereas Desiree are more of an all-rounder. But if we wanted to be self-sufficient in spuds this year, this wasn't going to cut it. The plan was to create a much bigger potato patch. So first we prepared the ground by mowing and then covering the whole area with black plastic. The idea is this forces any weed seed to germinate, but then everything dies off because there's no light. This, in combination with a few weeks of sunny days, should kill off everything underneath the tarp so that we don't get too many weeds popping up amongst our potato plants. The tarp went down on the 19th of March and we left it there until the 12th of May because we were pretty busy doing some other stuff, even though this is a bit late for planting main crop potatoes in Portugal. In fact, our neighbours plant most of theirs by the end of March. So on the 12th of May, I removed the tarp, removed all of the dead grass and raked the area flat. All the dead stuff was put into the compost, but I don't have a shot of that. And then I started digging. I did 7 trenches in all, about 6 meters long, and there's about 20 to 25 seed potatoes in each one. So now as long as we don't get any more freak hailstorms, these plants should be fine, and they should give us a load of spuds by the end of summer. Now you're all caught up with what's been happening in the garden recently, let's get back to the present day and do some planting. Yeah, cucumber on the trellis, and I'll put some beans on the kind of top part.
Yeah.
Where's the marigold? At the bottom of the tomato bed there?
It's here.
Yeah.
And then when we get the basils all more established, we can put them all in around the tomatoes as well.
So then these 2 beds stuffed full of tomatoes.
Yeah, and then we've got another bed or 2 to make
Yeah, 2.
when we get our bulk delivery of compost and bark.
So bed 5, that's going to be all the courgettes, summer squash, that kind of stuff.
What's at the bottom of 6 here? Is that where we're going to put aubergine or
Yes,
peppers?
aubergine at the bottom of 6 and a couple of cherry tomatoes down here as well.
These have had a long run.
Yeah.
Chickens will love it.
So black cherry, Dorenia cherry, Dorenia and black. So
I want to get these as deep as I can. Yeah, they're just ready, nicely ready. Here you go, mister. Can you go a bit deeper?
well, I can try.
Oh, perfect.
So no loofahs this year,
No loofahs this year.
because we've got a cupboard full of them. Oops. So I'm going to alternate the beans here.
What do you mean by alternate them?
So 2 different varieties.
I get it, yep. This is another new one for us. This is grown through the winter and it's going to turn into mustard seeds. So from my research, these pods, they start to go brown, which they've just started to do. And then we can harvest all of these off, and inside the pods should be 1 or 2 seeds, and that is the mustard seeds. So we can make our own, what are you going to make?
Mustard.
Mustard. Or just have mustard, like cracked mustard seeds.
Well, you can use them in making curries as
yeah,
well.
Yeah, exactly. So they are big and bushy, which I wasn't expecting. I put them in a raised bed, just not really knowing what they would do. But yeah.
Well, you can keep them small and have them like lettuce leaves.
Yeah, like.
But if you want mustard seed,
exactly. And then
this is what happens,
yep.
apparently.
And so they were. So in here is also some celery that was overwintered, and they were growing everywhere over the top of them. So I ended up having to come and put some wire in just to get them to stop flopping over and killing the celery.
Should we get more tomatoes in?
Yep.
So these are the Genovese, the Italian heritage, something like that.
It feels like the spacing at the top of this bed was off,
Really?
because now it's getting much tighter.
Oh.
So I think somewhere there must have been a miscalculation of exactly where it should go. So it's in between these 2.
Okay, well, we'll stick another one in there then. Yes, I think we just missed one.
Yeah.
We also missed the spacing at the top with the first one. Okay, well, I'll stick the other 2 in there then. I think I might stagger these even though it's a single row.
Yeah, you could. Because when we do the trellising,
Yeah.
maybe we still end up putting 2 posts
Yeah,
for
maybe.
future use, because if you just put 1 single post at each end, you're restricting kind of what you can use it for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives them more space here.
Yeah, it does give them a bit more space. So 15 in here and 11 in here. Let's see. So 2 Dorenia cherry at the end of this bed, which is otherwise full of summer squash. golden courgette. No worries.
Are we sure that's deep enough? Yeah, that's a bit better. Because I don't think they're going to go all the way to the top, so I may as well put more in the ground. Yeah, yep.
You want it deeper?
I love it deeper.
Well, that's all I can give you. Can you explain why I'm driving sticks into the ground next to courgette/zucchini plants?
So, I saw on the internet, so it must be true, that you can grow courgette vertically, because when you have a courgette, as you harvest a fruit, you can take off all the leaves below the next fruit. And so the idea being that you've actually got less leaves, and their leaves are just where the fruit are, and you can train it to go up a post. I don't know that these are going to be strong enough, but we're going to give it a go. If they're not, then we'll just let them go on the ground. But it means that there's less space required because you're growing vertically, not outwards. But also then you're not getting kind of soggy leaves on the ground and encouraging bugs and stuff. So, we'll see. I'm very hopeful. I don't think it will work for the one ball because those squashes grow really big, but the normal long ones, if you don't let them go to marrows, they should be fine. You can also then see more easily as well when the next fruit is ready for harvest. So we'll see. We're going to stick the 4 kind of long courgette zucchini ones, and the one ball we'll just leave on the ground.
So we've got a whole bed of garlic here. There's also a few more at the end of one of the potato beds. And they were looking great for a long time. But recently, a couple of things have happened. One, which is rust. There's like a whole load of orange spots on some of the leaves, and a lot of the leaves are starting to turn yellow, which might be a sign that they're ready to come out, but it might just be the rust. The other thing that's a little bit strange is some of the plants, and we do have 2 different varieties of garlic in here, some of them have put out what almost looks like a streamer tail, so like multiple growing points, not like a scape necessarily, but some kind of frondy bits out of the middle of the plant, and I don't think that's right. But I don't really know what the issue is or what might have caused it, or if it's variety specific, so maybe one of you lovely people can help us out there. Thanks. Curry squash going in?
Yeah. So the last thing I'm trying to get finished today is, first of all, taking off all the damage that was done by the hailstorm, and also putting a layer of hemp over the top. So one of our lovely club members, Anna, shared that this is how she does strawberries and how she used to do them back in the UK as well. And so the hemp acts as a mulch, but also supposedly slugs and snails don't like crawling over the hemp. So since we have hemp, I thought I'd give it a go, and I did a little trial first, and not only was it great for all those reasons, but it also really helps us to be able to see the strawberries and, more importantly, the asparagus, because it got lost a little bit in the sea of brown bark and leaves. And so now we can actually see the asparagus better, we can see the strawberries better, I can see when I need to come and do a bit of a prune of all the dead leaves. And yeah, it's a good mulch.
And we've still got loads of it.
Loads of hemp, yeah, and loads of strawberries.
Well, that too.
I mean, this is also giving me an opportunity to thin out some of the strawberries that are encroached a little bit on the asparagus space. And I guess in another year or 2, there will be almost no strawberries in here because the asparagus will spread out even more. But for the moment, I will keep at it. And yeah, if we need to lose all the strawberries, then we'll get relocated somewhere else.
And one of the places that those strawberries might be relocated to is some of the raised beds that we're going to be building in the next few weeks. I don't know exactly when yet. We've got a load of reclaimed sleepers in to build some raised beds, so that will be coming up in a future episode. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss that one. But I think we are done for today. We've got a load of stuff planted and had a bit of a tidy up as well. So I hope you enjoyed spending some time with us down in the garden. We'll see you in the next video. See you later. Bye.
Bye-bye.